The charge is commonly made that atheism is engaged in a form of simplicity, of rational simplicity. And what's being leveraged against this rational simplicity is a sophisticated form of theism, an analytical form of theism, a form of theism that makes use of analytical philosophy. Now, we can call it for what it is. What's being leveraged in order to make this claim is actually a form of sophistry. Now, I want to prove this point. I want to drive this point home. So, the Christians who make this claim that atheism is engaged in a shallow critique, these Christians are thinking of certain theistic philosophers such as Swinburne and someone like Alvin Plantinga. Alvin Plantinga is considered to be one of the most significant Christian philosophers since the time of Aquinas. And his view of Christianity is greatly championed. It's called Warranted Christian Belief, where he talks about belief in God as being properly basic. But what's very interesting here is that I'm going to use Plantinga to demonstrate that these claims about the rational simplicity of atheism are unfounded, that what's really going on is that Christianity is making an attack on atheism for not catering or accepting its sophistry. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about religious sophistry. That's what this is. This is a giant text, and there's 3 volumes in this particular set. This is sophistry. This is what modern sophistry looks like. So, Plantinga, on page 169 of Warranted Christian Belief, he says that, "I believe that the models I shall present are not only possible and beyond philosophical challenge, but also true, or at least verisimilitudinousness close to the truth. I still don't claim to show that they are true." We're already engaged in sophistry here. So he's got different lines of truth going on. I claim that these models are true, but I still don't claim to show that they are true. That is because the Aquinas-Calvin model, this is his model of an internal investigation that's made by something called the Holy Spirit, which he just presumes the entire process throughout his argumentation, doesn't defend it in any way, shape, or form, just posits the idea of a Holy Spirit, this magical Holy Spirit that is giving humans this concept of belief in God. So that's because the Aquinas-Calvin model entails the truth of theism. Now we're dealing with more sophistry here. He doesn't say Christianity on purpose. It entails the truth of theism. And the extended, so he extends this model, so much sophistry. The extended model of Aquinas-Calvin model, the truth, that shows the truth of classical Christianity. So he has these 2 different models, these abstract, sophistical models that he's erected to try to demonstrate the sophistry of his abstract belief. To show that these models are true, therefore, would also be to show that theism and Christianity are true. Probably not, but okay, we'll go with it. However, he takes a big turn here. He says, "And I don't know how to do something one could sensibly call showing that either of these is true. I believe there are a large number, at least a couple dozen good arguments for the existence of God. None, however, says one of the most authoritative and sophisticated philosophers of our time in Christianity. None, however, he says, can really be thought of as showing our demonstration. As for classical Christianity, says Plantinga, there is even less prospect of demonstrating its truth. So what is taking place in contemporary Christianity is a sophistry, a form of bait and switch. These theologians are claiming that atheism is failing to understand these sophisticated models, these sophistical models. Therefore, its objections are not substantive. But wait a second, Plantinga just said, as for classical Christianity, there is even less prospect of demonstrating its truth, less prospect than even showing that these models have truth content that can be demonstrated. So what we're dealing with is a kind of bait and switch that's taking place. What is happening in contemporary Christianity is that these Christians are arguing for a natural theology. That's when Plantinga said that the original Aquinas-Calvin model entails the truth of theism. He was in a debate with Michael Tooley many years ago, and Michael Tooley said, well, Plantinga, what do you mean by God? Do you mean something like Zeus? And Plantinga said, yeah, something like Zeus is just fine. To be fair to Plantinga, it's because he's being honest. That's why he says that there's even less prospect of demonstrating the truth of classical Christianity. He knows that you can't do it. So these contemporary sophists, apologists, what they're actually claiming is that atheism is not taking heed to or validating their sophistry. I'm just demonstrating this sophistication to you right here. This is it. This is the top Christian philosopher alive in the world. And it's sophistry. I just demonstrated it to you. So this claim that atheism is somehow missing some deeper picture is completely unfounded. And even if atheism was to adhere to this analytical theism, this sophistical analytical theism, it would not be arriving at a version of classical Christianity. It would be arriving at a very different version of theism, something that is very generalized notion of theism. It would not deliver over to these Christians the type of Christianity or the type of theism that they want or desire. And Plantinga says he doesn't even know how to do something like that. So enough of these claims that atheism is somehow evading some deep line of Christianity, some deep rational line of Christianity. It's doing no such thing. This is your deep line right here. This is not rational depth. This is sophistry. And that's what you're peddling. And the charge is not that atheists have failed to respond to some deep rational arguments. It's that atheists have not validated these forms of sophistry.